Nobody ever questioned it. The Canadians didn't question it. The U.S. didn't question it, you know. So it would be nice to resolve the issue.
Well, the York County man just wants a passport. He's been told he can't get one even though he is a U.S. citizen. The man wanted to go to Canada for his mother-in-law's memorial service.
Yeah, he's been trying to get a passport for years with no luck. Fox 43's Jackie DeTore joining us now to explain the issue.
That York County man says he was born in Pennsylvania. He doesn't have a lot of official records, though, to prove that. So can he still get a passport? Fox 43 finds out.
My mother had it in her Bible when she died, and she told me, she said, someday you're going to need this.
Edward Stanton, who goes by Paul, says he was born in Montgomery County on July 11th, 1944. The problem? He doesn't have a lot of proof. Stanton, who now lives in York County, doesn't have his birth certificate from when he was born. He does, though, have this.
There's even a seal on the baptismal certificate.
Stanton says his baptismal certificate is not enough for him to get a passport. And he says he's talked to passport offices about it several times.
Back in 1997. And then I tried once again a few years ago to get a passport card.
Stanton needs a passport to travel to Quebec to attend his mother-in-law's memorial service in August. She passed away in Canada a few months ago, and he wasn't able to say goodbye in person.
It's frustrating because I would, like to go up and visit relatives whenever there's a family function.
For years, Stanton never had a problem traveling back and forth between the U.S. and Canada without a passport. Then the rules changed.
Nobody ever questioned it. The Canadians didn't question it. The U.S. didn't question it, So it would be nice to resolve the issue.
Stanton does have another proof of citizenship.
When I went to get a Social Security card, my mother went in with me with the baptismal certificate, and the Social Security people said, fine, no problem.
And he says that Social Security card was enough to get his wife a green card. Stanton's wife, Margot, is a Canadian citizen.
The Immigration and Naturalization Service weren't at all concerned about my birth certificate. In fact, they didn't even ask to see the baptismal certificate.
Stanton does have a birth certificate from the State Department of Health's vital records. It's just delayed.
Which means that it was issued more than 6 months after I was born, and it was issued on the basis of a baptismal certificate.
And he's been told that's not enough, and he would need some other proof, like school records.
Or living relatives that could testify to my birth. And all my living relatives are no longer living. Neither my mother or father are living. None of the other relatives are living. No siblings that I know of.
Fox 43 finds out tried to get some answers for Stanton. So we contacted the U.S. Department of State. We were told that office cannot comment on individual cases, and instead they give us a phone number for Stanton to call. Stanton says he's called that number before and hasn't really gotten any answers. We also reached out to the U.S. Embassy in Canada to see if there was anything they can do. They're also part of the Department of State, so that didn't really help. Then we gave a call to the U.S. Senators for Pennsylvania, Pat Toomey and Bob Casey. Now, both of those offices are now working with Stanton, but so far, no luck yet. And the same goes for Congressman Scott Perry. We even contacted the Montgomery County Historical Society to see if they had any records or maybe even a birth announcement in the newspapers. They couldn't find anything either. And the Montgomery County Courthouse only has birth records from 1883 to 1915, so that doesn't help us. We did also call the hospital Stanton might have been born at, and that hospital says it doesn't keep those records either. The State Department of Health also told us it has no other records of Stanton's birth besides his delayed birth certificate. We even reached out to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and they couldn't help us either.
I assume I'm probably not the only person that has had this problem.
And after more than a month of trying to get answers for Stanton, he finally got a call from the passport office in Philadelphia today. The passport employee told Stanton to submit his passport again and then to follow up with him in a few weeks. So finally, some good news there. And at this point, he's just hoping that someone from his childhood may see the story, recognize him, and can kind of vouch for him, but he just doesn't know what to do. And every person who I called and spoke to about the story, they'd be like, oh, well, he has to do this. And when I would explain the full story to them, they were dumbfounded.
Yeah. So he has a copy of a birth certificate, but as you call it, it's a delayed birth
6
certificate.
months after his birth.
So it was based on the baptismal record, not the actual birth.
And when I talked to the Department of Health Vital Records, I asked them, is there a chance that he was never actually issued a birth certificate when he was born? Was there some sort of paperwork snafu? And they said there's a chance. There's also a chance that maybe he wasn't actually born in Pennsylvania. That is from what his parents have told him, and his parents have been dead for years, so there's not a lot of people he can ask. So there is a chance he might have been born somewhere else, and maybe that's where the paperwork is. But hopefully something can be worked out and this man can finally get a passport. And of course, we will follow that story if he does.
Yeah.
And if you have a story you want me to look into, Fox43 wants to find out. Let me know. Send me a message on Facebook or shoot me an email at fox43findsout@fox43.com.